All right, one of you. Oh, now you did it. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Even as I was asking.
Now you can start speaking if you want.
Sure, I
Chidanand.
will. Yeah, I am ready. Namaste. Good evening, everyone. Regeneration. Regeneration, we have stated in the subject that has been announced. Regeneration is the exclusive work of intelligence. That's the understanding I get as I ponder, as I study some of these teachings, as I discuss with friends like all of you. The work of intelligence is indeed fascinating. Intelligence does what 1,000 other things do not do, cannot do. In simple terms, 1,000, when I say 1,000, really it is much more than 1,000. I can even say millions. The human mind, the human being generally tries all sorts of ways and techniques and things and trying to follow some rules, trying to fit into some pattern, trying to adopt some beliefs and performing something repetitively and generally very mechanically. And in it is involved so much of friction, conflict, so much of self rejection and suffering in one way. And once in a while, self of so much, so much of self projection, thinking we are so good, we are great, we are holier than others, and so on, and then suffering in another way. Human beings go about this circus quite a lot. When we say human beings, we here at this dialogue, of course, are part of that big gang. We are very many times at a loss to figure out how we may go about life. Every day, in that sense, life seems to throw, in one sense, new challenges, in another, nothing new. It's the same old challenges that Ram and Ravan faced, or Yudhishthir and Duryodhan faced, and uh, leaders today, common people today face. So, where am I trying to arrive at? And what do I mean by regeneration? In a sense, we know what is degeneration. When our mind becomes mechanical, it is degeneration. When our mind gets stuck in an opinion, when our mind gets carried away by a certain bias for or against something, all of that may be called some form of degeneration. When scholarship makes us insensitive instead of awakening sensitivity in us, that's a terrible degeneration. Same way, position, pleasure, power, fame, name, all these have this risk, or we run the risk with all these to become insensitive, indifferent, not only to others, but to our own well being. Our life has countless forms of degeneration. We pick up something hoping that it will do good to us. But alas, unless we are very careful, which is difficult, that very thing that we took up for the so called self improvement to become better human beings or whatever turns us rather cruel, lazy, and so on. That is all degeneration. And this evening's topic is about regeneration. So it is in the spirit of revival. It's breathing new life into ourselves. You and I think all of us here have crossed 60. We are all seniors here with one or two exceptions, I guess. In a sense, we have lived a long life. When I look back, I sometimes laugh. Really? Have I have I lived 66 years now? Oops, can't believe. But time and tide wait for none, goes the saying. We get old. So as we have got old, have we got more burdened with anxiety or some other concerns? Or has our bosom got lighter? Perhaps it's not a very intelligent exercise to go on trying to judge ourselves where we stand, how good we are, how accomplished we are, or how rotten we are, how degraded we are. That also can be an obsession. Like some people obsessed with their physical looks, stand before tall mirrors for too long a time. They go on seeing themselves. Don't I look a little younger? I guess I do. Don't I look a little more handsome? Of course I do. Or maybe the other way. That's an obsession with how we look. Then there are forms of obsession with how intelligent we are, scholarly we are, well received we are, and so on. Oops. This becomes, a wild goose chase. It never ends. So, what is regeneration? Perhaps it would be worthwhile to say it is no other than what some authors and some wise speakers call a return to childhood. Intelligence alone can bring us back to childhood, not scholarship, not talent, not some special skills that we may possess, not some impressive degrees, qualifications that we may grab from prestigious universities of the world. No crown on our head, no degree in our hands, no foreign travel, no going to the moon, and so on and so forth. None of them can make us fresh and truly light-hearted, at the same time sensitive, aware, and watchful. So now let me come to the crux of the matter. In what way can we say intelligence can bring about regeneration? The job of intelligence seems to be to show to us whatever is false. If we clearly see this is false, this prestige I am feeling about myself is false prestige. This glory is false glory. And likewise, if one morning we feel very low about ourselves, oh my life has gone wrong terribly. I have lived a hypocritical life or an erroneous harmonious life, or we have as we have in our country, adharmic life, uh, disloyal life, in whatever way. We can paste so many negative labels on ourselves and sink in despair some mornings. Some other time we feel on top of the world, right? So, intelligence can show that both these are false. Both these are such conclusions arrived at by our mind when it takes a piece of memory, it takes a little chunk of what happened some time back. Some years ago, suppose I had stolen 100 rupees. Stolen, or you may say, we don't steal, Swamiji. We are talking, none of us here is a thief. Sometimes it's not exactly stealing. Maybe we took 100 rupees and we were supposed to return it to somebody, and we said, no need to return, just to keep it with yourself. Money or some object, some something we just keep, while our conscience says, hey, go and return to him, go and return it to her. Another part of our mind says, no need, she has enough. This I'll keep with myself. Then when we remember even such a thing, we feel bad about it. Huh? Why did I have to be dishonest for that 100 rupees? And so on. But then the point is, in the light of something that may be called dishonest or undignified, which might have happened at our hands many years ago, we arrive at a conclusion today that we are not worthy people. And we want to be worthy. That's another ego trip. I am bad, but I want to be good. I have been unholy. And before this life comes to an end, I want to be a holy figure. So you and I see, if not all, some of us may have that kind of dreams. Therefore, it may also be said that the mind has a regular, repetitive tendency to project possibilities, to put ourselves into a pigeonhole. We are right now in this pigeonhole. We want to place ourselves on what perhaps can be called a higher pigeonhole, a holier, nobler, more respectable pigeonhole, and then pat ourselves on the back. Now we are okay. I was a sinner before, today I am a holy man. In this way, when our mind says to ourselves, there is a passing pleasure, but intelligence questions. Intelligence, not scholarship, not bookish knowledge, not memorizing paragraphs or shlokas, mantras or verses, but a certain ripening that takes place within ourselves. Perhaps it comes close to what may be true maturity. None of us can claim to have gained that maturity. Within a single day, from morning to evening, we go to various moods and states of mind and various forms of worldliness, foolishness, various fancies hijack us. And this play goes on. But what is awakening of intelligence? Intelligence is like a guard, a watchman. Intelligence is someone who is keeping an eye on what this conditioned mind is doing. And if no one is watching this conditioned mind, in no time this mind can heap upon us, put a pile of judgments upon ourselves, and like the other side of the same coin, make judgments about others. I am holy and he is unholy. I am noble and she is ignoble, or the other way around. She is so perfect. I am all imperfections put together. Oh, and so on. This conditioned mind draws from so many questionable sources. Some book, some audio, some video, something somebody said. We read a quote, daily quote in a newspaper, and that can make us judge ourselves as good or bad. So, no scholarship can free us from this business where labels get heaped up on us. Others do it, and we ourselves do it too. And we should not blame only religions here. Religions are one mighty form of source of judgments. Years ago, I had read a book by Scott Peck, The Road Less Traveled. With a touch of humor, this professor of psychology from Chicago wrote, I thank the Christian priests, Christian ministers, he said, as an example. In all religions, we find that kind of people. He specifically calls Catholic priests, he thanks them. And he says, because of them, I get large number of my psychological patients. He says his business is running well. You know, doctors will have good business if there are enough patients, right? If a doctor is sent to a town where everybody is fit and fine, no cold cough, no fever, no backache, the doctor will have to close his clinic. No doctor would want to be there. So, not that doctors really want people to be sick. This is all some unpleasant truths of life. So, Scott Peck says, I am thankful to Catholic priests for they are a major source of my patients because they have such heavy notions of sin. We are born in sin, and Jesus will free us from sin. Only Jesus can save. Nobody else can do that, please, etc., etc. Everywhere, in all religions, that kind of propaganda goes on. Sometimes we in India say, yeah, Hinduism is very broad-minded. Maybe there is certain amount of broad-mindedness, we don't deny. But in Hinduism also there are some fanatics who say Krishna alone can save, or Shiva alone can save, and so on. In Buddhism, everywhere. It's a problem with the human mind. No matter what religion you embrace, in no time you are likely to be hammering on a certain point. So leave Scott Peck aside, but just think about it. I look at myself as a sinner, that is a degeneration. I think of myself as a saint, and I'm very eager to advise everybody how they should live. I'm looking for disciples and devotees to come and sit before me in all reverence, suppose. That thinking is degeneration. We are not saying those who instruct people are degenerate. That person would know in his or her heart. Because somebody is giving a pravachan, for heaven's sake, don't call him a degenerate person. That person should ask himself, or that lady should ask herself, Even as I share some thoughts with my audience, is there a wave of superiority gushing forth, rising in my bosom? Oh, today I have 800 people listening to my lecture on humility and lack of pride. I feel proud about it. Suppose she thinks like that. That's a degeneration. There comes intelligence. Intelligence, which I already called a guard, a very alert guard. In Kathopanishad, there is a statement, Ya esha supteshu jagarti. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India took that line from Kathopanishad and included it in their logo. Ya esha supteshu jagarti, which means this one stays awake while all others are asleep. So chartered accountants are supposed to be, like auditors and so on. They are supposed to be very alert and save the country from misappropriation of funds, violation of rules, uh, violation of tax regulations, etc. Right? So, in that sense, it's very appropriately taken. Ya esha sukteshu jagarti. But in the Kathopanishad proper, in Yama's teachings given to Nachiketa, that statement, the one that stays awake when everyone else is asleep, refers to pure intelligence. That is the attribute, if we may call it, of the pure self. Someone who is called in Indian tradition Atmanishta, Atmanishta or Brahmanishta and so on. Sorry for bringing some Sanskrit words to, it may cause some new confusion also. Anyway, someone who is really operating through real intelligence is like that. She or he does not stay on top of some memories, does not sit high, sit pretty on some past accomplishments, nor does she sit upon memories of past failures, but living in the present, looking at things, watching, and using all functional intelligence. Functional memory is required when you go to some place. Do as Romans do when you are in Rome, goes the saying. You were in London, let us say, then you went to New York. Both places you rented a car, let us say. In London, you drove on left side of the road. Moment you get down at New York, and there also rent a car. In foreign countries, people rent a car. Somebody rents a car in New York, drives to, let's say, Washington, D.C., and leaves that car there. They have such wonderful systems. Some of you may have used it. You return, you take a car in New York, leave it in Washington, D.C., pay for the hours that you use that car. Right. So, in this example, functional memory is never dismissed in these teachings. In London, this man drove on the left side of the road. In New York, all the way to Washington, D.C., and on the streets of Washington, D.C., the man is driving on the right side of the road because that is the rule there. The traffic rules are like that. And there are such things about mind also. An uncle of mine likes coffee a lot, but my aunt likes tea. So I better remember. I make a coffee and tea. I don't serve tea to the uncle and coffee to the aunt. That will be opposite to what they would prefer. Lovingly and with a sweet smile on my face, I, the nephew, may say to them, Uncle, I know you like filter coffee. Here it is. And to my aunt, out of memory. See, memory is not always bad. Out of memory, I tell Auntie, Here is your Brook-Bond tea. Enjoy. Likewise, whether it's traffic rules or coffee or tea or 100 other things, there are functional, factual things. But psychological memories are a big, big menace. In that sense, I use the word regeneration. If you and I can shake off many biases, many regrets, if you and I can shake off some negative judgments about others and about ourselves that tend to rise again and again. Even in the course of a single day, there are times that all of us feel low and dejected. We feel bad about ourselves. So if we can shake it off, not that we are irresponsible, that is, we don't deny that some mistake took place at our hands. Sometimes, what we are remembering is factual. A young lady working at Swami Muktananda Ashram in Bombay in the good old days mishandled some lift in some way, and one child died in the process. I think the lift closed automatically, and this volunteer had all the opportunity to prevent it, but she just stood watching. A child got crushed. So years later, also she was regretting when I was a volunteer at Muktananda Ashram in Ganeshpuri. At my hands, a child died, and so on. There is a factual side to it, but then there is a psychological side to clinging to an image and hurting oneself, saying, I killed a girl, I killed a boy, I killed a child, I am so bad, blah, blah, like endlessly. So there is that psychological component. So regeneration, let me state once more and conclude. Regeneration is the unique ability in every one of us to, as though, shake off. In Chandogya Upanishad, there is an example. A horse, after running a long distance on rustic village roads, stops finally, and this horse himself and realizes there's so much dust on me. So the horse shakes itself vigorously. All the dust goes away. In that way, this intelligence operation is to be understood. When intelligence operates, the dust gathered over a long journey can as though be shaken off, and we regain freshness. From our point of view, it's neither rising to some holiness or divinity, nor sinking in some other negative. We just, as I said before, we just regain our childhood, childlike simplicity, a non judgmental state, being alert and observant. Let me pause here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chidanandji. May I request Harshad Parekh sir to say something on this?
Okay. Yes. Are you able to hear my voice?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Swamiji. And this, you spoke about intelligence, which regenerates. I feel the body has its own intelligence and it protects the in a good condition. It can regenerate the body. So the root meaning of the word intelligence is to read between the lines. It means to know the essence of whatever our mind is doing or if we are reading something, or if we are listening something, to understand the essence behind the word is intelligence, and it is not thinking. Intelligence is more like awareness, which has no content, but intelligence can see our thinking very, very clearly. And so intelligence is not the product of thought. Intelligence is not in time, because thinking is in time. When there is moves in a proper order. But without intelligence, thinking can be very chaotic and it can lead to degeneration. But in the presence of intelligence, thinking moves in a proper direction. We have instinct for survival, and then human beings have developed intellect, which is a product of thinking, logic, and so on. But intelligence is beyond logic. Intelligence can see how our mind is working. Now, about regeneration, what regenerates our mind or our body is, of course, intelligence, because under intelligence, we do not indulge in habits to our body, just like eating too much sweets or eating too much or smoking. That degenerate the body. And intelligence, there is a goodness, and there is something what we call love. And that love which is not attachment. So this feeling of love, it regenerates our body. When I was very young, the first time when I went to a college, and I saw first time a girl, and something begin to start something in me, some kind of feeling of attraction, but it was not sexual, not at all. But it remained for a long time, not thinking, not having a desire to possess her, but just looking. And I remember one day my mother said to my father that there is something happening in Harshad, in my body and mind, because she observed some changes happening in my life. So I think it was that feeling of is not, and that really brings a lot of creativity and happiness. So sometimes I tell the story of one artist. I say this story in my culture class, and he was a very poor artist, and he loved one girl. And one day, a rich woman wanted a picture to be made by this artist, and the artist made a very good painting, and for which this artist got 1,000 rupees for the first time in his life, and he was very happy. to get 1,000 rupees for painting a picture. And then when he comes to know that his girlfriend's mother was in the hospital and she needed the money, and this artist who had got 1,000 rupees, he gives all that money to to his girlfriend, and he feels even more happy. So there is something here, and there is a happiness in giving, and the greatest gift which we can give is this kind of love in which there is no expectation from the other person, and that feeling of love is very, very rare. Only people who are very intelligent, which doesn't become attachment, and it becomes a source of regeneration. So I think the Swamiji missed this word love, which is very, very essential quality for keeping us young and healthy in body and mind. And with that love, if there is no intelligence, then it will lead to deterioration. So love is something which is under strict observation by this intelligence, which sees very clearly whether this love is becoming a very mundane something, a very depressive affair. Because people, when they fall in love, it is very regenerating. But then that love deteriorates when they want to possess, and when they cannot possess the person, then they go into depression. And some people, even young people, young, they have committed suicide because they have committed suicide because we want freedom or love, really understanding what that love means, in which there are no attachment, no fear, no loneliness, no boredom, but something which the sense of love which keeps on increasing as you grow older. And that is why Mirabai said, Ram Ratan Dhan Payo, Kharche na Khute, Chor na Lute, Din Din Badat Savayo. So there are these spiritual people, they love somebody like Mirabai loved Krishna. It was not a sensuous love, and it was that feeling of love. Of course, there was very crazy love. And Kabir said that Tere paas hire moti, mere man mandir mein jyoti, kaun hua dhanwan. So people who are truly spiritual, they are very intelligent and expectation. It is this love itself makes you very happy, healthy, creative, and it regenerates your body and mind, keeps you very fresh. So this is what I think Krishnaji was also talking about, love which is not attachment, in which there is a real freedom, there is a intelligence is there. So this is what um, intelligence means to me, that it is seeing everything very, very clearly. And even if any thought, undesirable thought comes, the intelligence can see it also when it is coming, and then that seeing becomes the action. So intelligence to me is like something which is awake, which sees everything, everything very, very clearly, good, bad, ugly, everything get caught into the of me, I arising. So intelligence is an absence of the self. It is a real freedom in which there is a love, beauty, all these things exist. So this is the way I look at it. Okay, I have finished. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Harshad sir. Chidanandji, would you please like to comment on
Yeah,
it, sir?
yes. I am grateful to Harshad ji for adding very many dimensions which I had not explicitly said. For example, that dimension of love. So true. Otherwise, we tend to look at intelligence once more as something brainy. It is nothing to do with brain, nothing to do so much the blood pumping organ called heart. Uh, of course, I wouldn't say brain has no role at all. Brain acts in a different way, in a better way when there is intelligence. But it's not the usual intelligence quotient as we know. I have also heard, probably Krishnaji had said it, there is no intelligence without compassion. Suppose someone claims to be intelligent or we call someone intelligent, but that person lacks compassion, then what intelligence is it? Probably this compassion or love being an integral component of intelligence is a truth that Harshadji brought out. He also said very nice things like intelligence is being without self, where there is no self. So this is for the value of these discussions. Arshadji or me or some of you, sometimes you all bring out certain angles of view at a topic which even people who have read a lot would not have thought of. Therefore, these dialogues have a very unique place. I sometimes joke in Rajghat, sometimes somebody used to tell me, oh, these Wednesday dialogues are boring. I don't like to come to dialogue. Then I used to say to them, more boring the dialogue is, there is more for you to learn about yourself. Maybe you get bored because you already got opinionated about the other people who come there. Moment you see some X or Y entering the dialogue, you mentally take the hand to your head. Oh, this lady has come now. Now she will talk all the time. Oh, this man has come. So don't come next time to the dialogue to get information or words. Join the dialogue with a sincere effort on your part not to judge anybody. Even if some lady or man talks a lot, try to listen to that person attentively. Do not hastily judge. She is talking too much or he is repeating this point, etc. So this is a golden opportunity to develop patience. A dialogue which is on one, at first look may be most boring, probably is the training ground for you to develop broad-mindedness. So anyway, let me not go for the diversion. Yes, I highly appreciate the remarks made by Harshadji, and we now wait or we now look forward to comments by others too. Yes, Jain Saab.
Please. Anybody other wanted to comment on this? May raise hand so that Ravi Kaushal, sir. Please unmute Ravi.
Hello.
Ravi, please. Yeah,
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
yeah.
Yes, sir. I missed that the dialogue of Chidanandji, but I heard what Harshad ji said, and I see that he's saying that intelligence is when the self is not. I'm saying I heard the case statement like intelligent. It is when the self attention is when the self is not. It is attention when the self is not. I think that's case statement. And what is intelligence? We talk a lot of intelligence. Can we know what is there? I see the difference between when the mind says when the mind truly understand that I don't know, and he talk from there. That is, I think, is the beginning of wisdom. Then you really know how to listen. Otherwise, if you do not have that space of I don't know, you cannot listen the thing as it is. So I don't know is the beginning of the wisdom, and I cannot know. I cannot know. See the difference between I don't know and I cannot know. When the mind understands that I cannot know is the beginning of intelligence. So I'm saying that what is intelligence? According to how intelligence came into being in our mind. So the thing I think somewhere case said on this like in a when the mind is free from all knowledge, intelligence came into being. I think somewhat like that case said that. So when the mind is free from knowledge, that means that there is a difference between intellect and intelligence. That the difference is that when the mind understand uh, how to think, how to think, not what to think. When we understand that thing, then I think there is there is exploration, there is going deep down without the self, and there is also the thing intelligence is there. Then there is no boundary, not even of K or P or whatever. That's what I would like to say. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ravi. Anybody other than Dinesh Waghmare? Please unmute and say.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
yeah.
Because
We can
today my phone is different. My phone is not properly working, so I'm using another phone. So are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can able
Okay.
hear it, but
I think today's subject is regeneration, uh, the exclusive way of intelligence. First of all, what is generation? Generation means dictionary meaning is the ability of organism to generate lost or damaged body parts. And what is the meaning of regeneration as per JK? As per JK, regeneration means to made a new, made a fresh. And this is talking in reference of your mind, basically. He says, can there be a transformation of mind? There is a regeneration in the mind? Can there be a transformation of man? A new thing to be born? And then he says, self-knowing without knowledge, the fact about the self. In that state, probably this transformation takes place. So I think we are talking in regeneration in the terms of transformation of the mind, and whether it is a work of intelligence, that we will discuss. But whatever I said, that is the version of JK. Third point is what he says: important factors of regeneration. What he said: self-knowing. I think we have talked enough about self-knowing. Freedom from the content of the memory, freedom from the self, emptying of the mind. So these are all things are necessary as per him. Then only we can talk of transformation of the mind. Fourth, what he says: regeneration is possible only when mind has touched non-duality. This is very important. When we are now we are going closer to the intelligence. Regeneration is possible only when mind has touched non-duality, no fear, no conflict, no images, no past memory interference. No external pressures of country, overpopulation, poverty, constant ruthlessness, competition, economic ruthless competition, division, economic, whether it is economic, social, or tradition, which deforms the brain or damage the brain. These all should be not there. He has said. When you understand fear, the root of fear, very depth of fear, then the pressure on the brain is not. Does not, this fear does not exist. Therefore, the brain again becomes fresh, innocent, not something jarred, molded, shaped, made ugly as it is now. So this is what he has said about the regeneration. And in this, he says knowledge has no place or role in regeneration. Because knowledge makes man separate. Knowledge is burden, whereas we are talking of freedom, unburden. Again, he has also related it to religion. He said religion is the transformation and the regeneration of the man. Religion is the summation of all energy. Not important point, important points have arisen. One, we have said about this no fear, no, and another is, he said here about energy. So we are now going from non-duality, from summation of all energy, now we are going towards the intelligence. The energy that transforms what is. That energy is outcome of no conflict. We only right now know energy through conflict, friction, and division. But the energy of religious mind is entirely different. Such a mind is concerned only with what is and the perception of what is. Here what he says, that basically the energy, in case of transformation, energy will remain same, but the quality of energy will be entirely different. The quality of the energy will be entirely different. So this is to be all seen. The immediate solution is the regeneration of the individual, not for himself. Again, when we talk of regeneration, what is its significance? He says not for himself, but regeneration, which is the awakening of intelligence. And intelligence is not yours or mine, it is universal.
Beautiful.
So basically, if we consider all this and do the summation, then basically what he says, for transformation, for transformation, awakening of intelligence is a must. For that, your energy, different quality of energy is a must, and one should have touch non-duality. When we say one should have touch non-duality, means that dimension, and which is timeless. And what is basically intelligence? When we say intelligence, it is an intrinsic property of that non-dual energy. And when it appears through your mind and brain, then it appears as if it is a new thing and it is an insight. To that, JK said insight, basically. So whenever you get the insight, normally it has got the reference of the past, but it's entirely new thing. You don't have a thought of it, or you don't have any reference to it. Even some places he says that insight may not come from inside also. It can come from the others also, or from the situation also, or from the environment also. So when we talk of this transformation, these all things are important. And now whether one can go that deep and do all these things is important. So, of course, he has also said that you have to keep your windows open. You cannot go to the non-duality. Non-duality has to come to you. That dimension has to come to you. But it is also interesting. What is basically intelligence? Intelligence, here we have used in the subject, the exclusive work of intelligence is regeneration. But in my views, intelligence is always operative. Whatever mess we have created, background of that also is intelligence. But as soon as we remove this all mess and all your old memory burden and all that, then automatically that intelligence come into forefront. This is what I say. So my comments finally are, okay, now it's already I have taken too much time. I will again take a chance and then I will speak. Thank you.
Prasad sir. Prasad sir, please.
Sir, uh, sir, Swamiji has covered the subject so well. There is really nothing much to add to that. But I have only one or two small comments. Not that it is differing from what Swamiji has said or Harshadji has said, but my understanding is that intelligence is quite different from the work of intellect. Intellect is the work of the normal brain. That is thought and memory. Thought originates from memory. So the entire thinking process is the work of the intellect, which means we live in the past, memory being the past, we live in the past. Past continues through the present. It molds the future also through the present. So when the time process comes to an end, that is when the normal thinking process comes to an end, then there is intelligence. As Harshadji said, intelligence is reading between the lines, or as Mr. Waghmare has used that word, insight. When you have insight, that is the work of intelligence. The difference between that is, of course, as Harshadji said, there is no intelligence without compassion. That is what Krishnaji has said. That is, when you come out of your own self-enclosure and look at the world and develop some compassion towards the unfortunate beings on this planet, etc., environment or the animal world and all that, then there is intelligence. That is the work of the intelligence. That's all. Thank you, sir.
Harshad sir, you wanted to comment on it?
I would like to say that intelligence is security, complete security. It is a perception of truth, means seeing things as they are without the interference of thinking and the past knowledge. That is what I would consider intelligence. And I would also say that our human life is mostly lived with thinking and feeling, and very rarely the mind is really silent and come out from that silence, come out from the plane of thinking and feeling and look at clearly how our thinking is coming, how it is unfolding. So it is like, I would say, it is the reading the book of our own life while it is being written. That means being in touch with what is happening within us. And that is what real intelligence is. It tells everything, what is happening within us. We don't need to go to any psychologist or any philosopher or any religious teacher to know about what is going on within us when we have this intelligence, because it shows everything. And so there was one song also, Tora Man Darpan Kehlaye, भले बुरे सारे कर्मों को देखे और दिखाए, मन ही देवता, मन ही ईश्वर, मन से बड़ा न कोई. So mind is which includes intelligence, not the thinking and feeling mind, but there is a different dimension which exists in human being, which we can call intelligence or a truth or a love, compassion, which is not the usual mechanical way of thinking. Even I think many of us, we can note down what Krishnaji has said about intelligence and explain in our own words. There, that may be true, but there is no truth in that. Krishnaji says that if you repeat what I am saying, you are explaining everything what Krishnamurti has said. It is true, but there is no truth in that. So the real truth comes when we speak from our own insight, how we live, and from that words may come, or even the words may not come because the word is not the thing. So in this area of spirituality or psychology or philosophy, the word is not the thing. A person can describe everything, like what a mango tastes like. But as long as a person has not tasted mango, it would remain very theoretical. So I think that in this field, we have to bring out something of our own, which may not agree with Krishnamurti also. So this is what I feel, that to be really watching clearly how the mind works, that is what intelligence is. And in that there is no effort involved, because effort is only when there is a sense of I or me trying to understand. But intelligence understands without trying to understand. And it understands what is behind the word, like uh, reading between the lines. So this is what intelligence means to me. To me is a clear seeing without previous knowledge and without interference of thinking. So one can look at the tree or one can look at a human being without the knowledge. And that is intelligence, which is, I would say, it is very rare because uh, if this intelligence were there, there would be no wars, there would be no problems, no fear, loneliness, boredom. All those problems exist because our life is lived only thinking, and out of thinking coming this sense of I or me, and I want to possess this, I want to become somebody. So these are the problems which goes on in the world because there is no intelligence. Okay, I have said enough.
Chidanandji, would you please like to make last comment on it?
Why last comment? You want me to leave after that?
No, no, no. You yourself know that generally you leave 7:15.
Yeah. Today I'll be with till 7:29.
Okay.
So so this may not be my last comment nor my last laugh.
Yeah.
But wonderful, Dinesh Waghmare and Prasad Mulupuri, now Harshadji, all of you have added beautiful things to the topic. And what comes to my mind as I heard all of you bring out more dimensions is how there is an expression, intelligence beyond thought, intelligence beyond mind. Another thing that came to my mind as I was reflecting on words spoken by all of you is in 2006, I think in Rajghat, there was a gathering, and the topic taken was something about silence. And the study center people, Rajesh Dalal, Sridhar, and Sangeeta, etc., they put together one booklet, and all paragraphs where Krishnaji spoke about how in silence a solution would just flash. That was very puzzling to me, but at the same time, it had a mystical and poetic quality to it. But as we examine life more and more, we see the truth of it for ourselves too. Many times when we are thinking and struggling to solve a problem, the problem gets worse than before instead of getting better. But then, after sincere effort, we just let go and then say, I'm not able to find a solution. In some kind of silent mental environment, suddenly an out of the box solution appears before us. Probably that's what Edison had meant by saying success is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. Maybe that inspiration also goes hand in hand with this intelligence we are talking about. We let go of our effort. In traditional circles, they also use the word grace. And grace comes in and so on. So we have so much to munch on, and then sometimes we get so baffled by so many ways of putting things. But this intelligence is so precious to us. Living with intelligence, I think, makes life so worthy. And without intelligence, no matter what we possess and how much glitter and glamour are in our life, all adds up to nothing at all. That's what I may share with you, friends.
Thank you. Pradeep ji, would you please say,
Yes, yes.
unmute and say, Pradeep ji.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, yes, very well audible.
Very much. Okay. I have listened to all the speakers, and they covered most of the things that were said, that were emphasized by Krishnamurti himself, and in the circle also, a number of things, especially related to love, especially related to intelligence and its relation to the awareness and timelessness and pure self, and then freedom from the past, how to get out of the stagnant pool we live in, where there is no regeneration possible. So it is, I think it is regeneration of the mind. Medical sciences, they say it has nothing to do with aging, because new neurons keep making. That is one hope. But can intelligence in us, all of us who are here present, all the friends, can intelligence in us see present times, the present times and life around us, where the depressions, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's increasing every year world over. Also in the countries where this comparison, where this competition, and the life we live in India and around. So this is what is for me. We all can see it. We all have intelligence, I believe. But this thing is going up and up in spite of our things, because Harshad Bhai talked about the love, the unconditional love, the selfless love, the love of Mirabai to Krishna. Most of these things are not tangible to normal human being these days. None of these things, freedom from the past, it looks almost impossible. It looks so idealistic to all of us. All of us, all of us are living a lot of it in past, I'm sure. So what could be there? Of course, you will say that you can't change the world, you can't change Samaj, you can't change family, you can't change anything but yourself. I have a lot of past in me. Everything intelligence. Now this intelligence that can see clearly, and we can see clearly the present times and the increasing suffering around us. 40 years, 50 years, young people, they are suffering from all these ailments, because we are psychosomatic. The body and mind, they work so closely that you may go on fragmenting this. It doesn't help in any way. So I don't know, because we have been discussing these things, but the present times, the moment to moment, things are happening around us, in us. They are warning us about something, the mind that gave these apparent solutions to us through words are not working. This is what I feel. I'll be happy if Chidanandji will say a few words. Thank you very much.
Chidanandji, please.
Yeah. Will you restate the last part?
Because the mind that has created these things, the mind that is creating these things every day in us, around us, whether the solutions that have been seen as something that can change or mutate or transform the mind into a fresh mind, regenerated mind, whether this is working actually, or something in new dimension has to be, which can be understandable to the youngsters today, those people who are busy in making money and going to places here and there, seeking here and there, highly unstable mind they are in. Whether these things repeating and repetition of these things, whether it will really help, I don't know.
Yeah. Very nice practical point you have raised.
I don't know.
Obviously, the younger generation, will not like some long discourses from elderly people. And therefore, the challenge before elderly people like us is to not talk much in quantity, but to do something whereby younger generation sees the value of questioning. Sometimes for them, even questioning means pulling anything down, you know, rather than distinguishing between true and false. They think when they are in a questioning frame of mind, it is all about dismantling things. It's all about if there is a structure, remove that structure without even verifying whether it's good or bad. So that should not be encouraged. So we may, for example, in any current issue, you know, suppose we get even 10 minutes of time with some youngsters to discuss Manipur issue, let's say. I myself am not much informed about it, but I have a little knowledge. Questioning means we should question them. What makes you think this group is right? What makes you think that group is right? Do you see some background to all that has been happening and so on? So we only generate some questions and then we help them loosen certain positions that they might have taken for or against particular groups. So all we can do is to develop in them, to encourage in them a taste for questioning both sides with a little gentleness about it. It's not a debate competition where for winning a prize, you rally arguments on one side or the other. You and I also have done it in high school or other times, We choose to speak for the topic or to speak against the topic. And once we choose, let us say, to speak against the topic, we go headlong into what I can say, like lawyers do. That is not really questioning. So, this is a challenge with ourselves and with youngsters too. And if we train ourselves in gentle questioning, impartial and unbiased questioning, going to the merits and demerits of both sides involved in a certain issue, we can do, I think, a better job with youngsters also when an opportunity comes by. Generally, more gray our beard is, more youngsters keep good distance from us. They don't come near at all.
That's right.
So some wise people who are above 60 shave daily, don't expose their white beard. But some of us get exposed for whatever reason. Sorry for the digression. Youngsters मिलना मुश्किल है, वही मैं कह रहा हूँ. Youngsters मिलना ही मुश्किल है. They want to do some courtesy remarks. Uncle, auntie, कैसे हो? क्या चाहिए आपको? चाय लेके आऊँ? Something like that. They run away.
Yes, sir.
Maybe Harshad gets to youngsters to talk to him because you have been a former teacher at all our campuses. That
Yeah.
makes you someone, special. The fact the moment they hear that he taught at this campus for some years, I think they would have some interest. Otherwise, many of us go there. Yes, the school children see us from a distance. And
Harshad
namaste.
Parekh, would you please like to comment on it?
Yes, I know Krishnaji's teachings make people think a lot. But then Krishnaji comes that thinking cannot solve your problem. So I feel that people who have been interested in Krishnamurti's teachings, they have gathered a lot kind of information, intellect, they have a sharp mind, but something deeper than sharp mind, intellect is required, and that is the ability to look at one's own thinking. And when a person has the ability, means curiosity, energy, intensity, honesty, to look how our mind is working, how thoughts are arising. And at that time, when the mind really stops, that is the moment in which some real understanding can happen in silence. So intellect, Krishnaji develops intellect in his listeners, but he is also saying that intelligence is a higher dimension than intellect. And that intelligence, it has to do with looking non-verbally, with curiosity, without previous knowledge. And that is where I think most people find it difficult. And that is the real challenge. And that is what intelligence is, to look without thinking. And that's why he is asking such questions. How do you look at a tree, or at the face of your friend or husband or wife? So actually, he is developing intellect in most people. But this intelligence, very few people will get it if they are really feel that there is something beyond intellect, that intelligence, ability to look non-verbally at one's own thinking. And when the silence happens, at that time, many people get frightened also of that silence in which there is no sense of I or me. It is like a psychological death. And so people like to escape from that silence and go into activity, acquire more knowledge, more discussion. So this is very, very difficult. The essence of Krishnamurti's teachings, I would say that very few people will get it, because it has nothing to do with so much talking and gathering knowledge of Krishnamurti teachings. It is the ability to look, be silent and looking. Okay, I've finished.
Dinesh Waghmare.
Harshad sir,
Yeah.
you said that intelligence is the quality of mind, a special quality of mind. But I think, in my views, intelligence is intelligence. It is neither yours nor mine or anybody else. And on the contrary, mind is a quality of, we can say, one of the quality of intelligence which he has created. Even what JK says, when he says, when we define mind, mind being not only the quality of intelligence. He says mind being not only the quality of intelligence, the capacity to understand, perceive, and also the capacity of the brain. That is the
म्यूट हो गया.
No sound. 729.
Don't worry, I'll.
Siren.
Chidanandji is
दिनेश
very
दिनेश जी
much
आपका म्यूट हो गया, अनम्यूट कर लिए.
three
Chidanandji
dogs
are
and
very
dogs.
much here at 729.
When we talk
Yes.
about mind, we include all that, not merely intellectual capacity. Sorry, there was a call in between, so I had to interrupt. So what he says basically, intelligence is only, in my views, omnipotent, and out of that there are all creations. Even in my personal experience, this insight may not come only from the your inner world or inner this thing. It may come from outside also, or it may something may happen which you feel strange. Say, for example, when once I will just share one experience, my experience. I have gone to Mount Abu, and I wanted to go to one particular ashram along with my wife. The road was completely remote. There was nobody on the road, and we were at one square. We could not find a way where to go to the ashram.
Please
you will
make
not
it
believe,
concise.
all of a sudden,
It is
from
already
nowhere,
7:30.
a small boy has come on the cycle.
Dineshji,
He
please
has
make
shown
it
us the all.
concise.
He has come near us. Says, "What do you want to? Where do you want to go?" We said that we want to go to that particular ashram. He has guided us up to that ashram, and then he has vanished. Similarly, at some other places, you will not believe, one dog has shown us the way.
Dog,
To
we have
particular house.
listened it. We have listened it. We have listened it. Dog has guided you.
Are you? There is some problem, I think, with my this.
Yeah, 7:31 it is already. So let me ask Modak to end it. Please, Modak, end it, sir. Thank you. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to everybody who participated.
Thank you.